Hello, Internet. This is Sophia. This week, Trevor Noah of The Daily Show, which is temporarily rebranded as The Daily Social Distancing Show on account of the current pandemic and the, social distancing that it necessitates, had a special guest on his show. This special guest was none other than Hillary Rodham Clinton, the former First Lady of the United States, a former U.S. Senator from New York, and the former U.S. Secretary of State. She also was the Democratic nominee in the 2016 presidential election and came this close to becoming the first female president of the United States. She actually won the popular vote, as a matter of fact. Anyway, aside from the basic how are yous, pretty much the first thing discussed in the interview, which by the way I link to in the video description area below, was the suppression of votes and, wait for it, the importance of a vote by mail option. The thing is, while I do favor a vote by mail system, it is not enough to have that system officially available. It also has to be properly run so that those who need it to cast their vote don't get disenfranchised. It has to be properly run so that those who are or live with people who are at higher risk of COVID-19 complications don't have to choose between the safety of themselves and or their loved ones and their basic American right to cast their votes. But in this discussion, was there, for a change, a mention of this? No, not really. As a matter of fact, the only thing I noticed in the entire interview that could possibly be seen as a blanket statement that covered things like this under a broader umbrella was when she mentioned that one aspect of the Republican strategy was to
try to make vote by mail as difficult as possible.
That's it? Seriously? What will it take to get a serious discussion started about this? I and both my parents, I'm temporarily living with them, again for the duration of the pandemic, all three of us requested mail-in ballots. They received theirs early enough that voting on time was not at all a problem for them. Rather than using the U.S. Postal Service to get their ballots returned, they instead submitted them to one of the drop-off locations around Philadelphia. My dad's ballot took a while to get counted, but eventually it was counted. I, however, still haven't received my ballot, despite having requested it over a month before the deadline, and I know that I am not the only one that this happened to. So why the is nobody talking about this? All I see about this is an occasional sparse mention of it in the papers, and even then mentions that actually downplay the problem, and aside from that, nothing but a chorus of crickets chirping. Take, for instance, this article in our own local Philadelphia Inquirer. Its very headline starts with the already dubious claim that the PA primary wasn't a disaster. And yes, that is a preview of how the article does not treat this issue with the severity that it deserves. Go on down and it says, thousands of mail ballots didn't reach voters in time. Their ability to use those ballots was only saved by a last-minute order from Governor Tom Wolf that extended the mail-in deadline. Did the reporter who wrote this even do their homework? Somehow, I think that if they had, they would have found out that Governor Wolf's orders only applied to mail-in ballots that were postmarked on or before the election day, or which were deposited at the designated drop-off locations on or before the election day. Therefore, this order would do nothing to save the votes of people who didn't get their ballots on time to either mail them in or drop them off on or before the election day. And what about the ballots of people like me who still in mid-July haven't gotten our ballots that were due early in June? A floundering 1-week extension, even without those caveats, would not be enough to save such votes. This is despite the fact that I not only requested the ballot over a month in advance, but sometime later, after the initial ballot's failure to arrive, was assured that a replacement ballot would be sent, and despite the fact that in the case of the replacement ballot, we had verified a clarification of where the ballot needed to go. So tell me, Philadelphia Inquirer, how can a measly 1-week extension, under the condition that I mailed or dropped off my vote on time, how could that possibly save my vote in such circumstances? I'll tell you how. It can't. Now, don't get me wrong. I am confident that this problem can be fixed by the time of the general election in November, but it is far less likely to actually get fixed if we don't start having the conversation about fixing it. This chorus of chirping crickets needs to end, and we must start discussing it, or else, come November, I and other people could end up having to choose between our safety and or those of our loved ones versus our most basic American right to cast our votes. And yes, come the general election, if I have to make that choice, I am far more likely than in the primary to take the chance and show up to the polls in person if my mail-in ballot doesn't arrive on time. Yes, even with all the precautions that I can take, it will still be putting me and my parents at risk. But we've all had the talk and agreed that letting Trump get reelected is an even bigger risk. However, no matter what decision I make in November, if I even have to make that choice, that is a violation of my right to vote, no matter which of the two possible decisions I make. So we need to get this problem fixed, and that can't happen if we stay in denial of the fact that it exists. It is time to replace the articles that downplay the severity of what is wrong with Pennsylvania's vote-by-mail system with articles that take it seriously. And for sake, start discussing the matter. Anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this video. Please hit the thumbs up button and leave your comment in the comments area below. Make sure that you are subscribed to this channel and that the bell icon is active so that you will be more likely to receive notifications when I add new videos to this channel in the future. Share this video with your friends and everyone else, both on social media and by whatever other means. And until next time, see ya!